Welcome to Mindset Talks Podcast. It's your girls, Cassie,
and Amanda.
and we are here to share our mindsets.
Elevate yours and have some fun while achieving better versions of ourselves.
Hey, Amanda, girl.
Oh my gosh, hello.
Don't ask me why I'm such a weirdo. I don't have an explanation for it, but I also feel awkward starting podcast introductions. So there you have it.
Great job. You did very well.
Why, thank you. Thank you. Ah, well, Amanda,
Yes, Cassie.
how has your day been today?
Um, so if I'm keeping it real with you and all of our people, it has not been a good day. I am not interested in talking about my day. I haven't felt like I've been in a really good space. So I can say on a positive note that I made a very delicious dinner tonight.
Ooh, what did you have?
So I was talking with one of my coworkers the other day, and she was talking about some diet thing and about how to like get a smaller waistline and
Mm.
something about cooking dinners with olive oil. Like there's like 3 nights a week there's no meat in the dinner, so like a vegetarian or vegan style dinner.
Hmm.
And 3 or 4 nights, I want to say three. And she was talking about how she made some spinach with, oh gosh, what did she cook it with? Spinach with something, and but she cooked it, with like two tablespoons of olive oil and sauteed something up and put a little Parmesan cheese on top. So I was like,
Ooh,
I feel kind of inspired. So I
yeah.
sauteed mushrooms, red bell peppers, and
Ooh, you eat
spinach.
mushrooms?
I love mushrooms.
Oh God. My dad did too. He used to eat like those like stuffed mushrooms.
Oh, I don't eat mushrooms like that. I like
Oh,
sauteed mushrooms. That's it.
oh, gotcha, gotcha.
Like sliced and sauteed.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so mushrooms, red bell pepper, and spinach, and then I did put a little that Parmesan cheese on top, and that came out really, really good. And then I also had roasted some red potatoes because I've been wanting roasted potatoes.
Ooh, potatoes are my love.
We know this is the truth. So, that was my dinner. It was
You
really
just
good.
that actually does sound really good, but also doesn't sound like enough. You just had potatoes and spinach, but I'm not one to talk because I eat potatoes for dinner all the time. So
And I also had mushrooms and red bell peppers in case anyone else missed that.
listen, okay. I totally just forgot the whole mushroom conversation, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
still
but think about it though. It's light, it's nothing crazy, and who's wrong to go back for seconds? It's all vegetables.
That's true too. I guess, can't really go wrong with that, but that sounds actually really good. It's a lot better than what I've had for dinner so far.
Yeah, what was your dinner tonight, Cassie?
Well, as you have seen before we started this podcast, is that my dinner is a cup full of goldfish.
Mmm, how appetizing.
It actually does kind of like just like hit that spot, but I
But
don't know.
was it enough?
Um,
Because I mean, I
no.
had potatoes and spinach and mushrooms and bell peppers.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. I just haven't really had time yet to make much of anything. So goldfish was on the menu, and it probably will just be the only thing on the menu for the rest of the evening. But
Oh my gosh, you're such a late dinner person. I would starve in your household.
yeah, you would, and that's something I really need to work on and get better with because I have such a hard time feeding myself. Like, how in the world am I supposed to feed other people? It's just like
We'll
a
have to
nightmare.
we'll have to do another episode for New Year's resolutions and make sure that one's in there.
Ooh, that's a good. I write that down. That is a good idea. We will definitely have to do that because Lord knows there's a lot of things that I need to get my shit together on. That's for sure.
you, you and I both. You're not the only one.
I'm sure I'm not, but it's just everything is a struggle. It seems these days, isn't it?
Mm. What? So what did you want to talk about today?
I so nothing like I don't know, like too specific, I guess, but I've just been having like a lot of like heavy like thoughts and feelings lately, and I figured why not just kind of like share that on the podcast because I'm pretty sure that other people, at least I hope that other people might have like similar like thoughts and feelings or, just going through kind of, I don't know, like life changes and things of that nature.
Mm.
Especially because, you know, a lot of what I do is based around death. And so it is something that's kind of like always on the forefront of my mind and I'm like always thinking about it. And, the other thing that you also, well, a lot of people I would say spend a lot of time thinking about is, having like a family and that, traditional like American dream of having like the house and the white picket fence and like, your like typical kind of like future that you look forward to. But what I've recently realized is that when it actually comes down to it, that is actually some terrifying ass shit when you really think about it. Like,
You just said a lot. That
yeah.
is a lot.
And like I just feel like my mind is like always like going out there, but I've come down to kind of like a main like factor here. And I think that I'm really just like afraid to like move forward with like a lot of like major life decisions because I'm afraid of like getting older, which yes, obviously ultimately like leads to death. And I just feel really, like, afraid for that for some reason, and, like, if I don't make those, like, changes, then, like, I won't get older is, like, kind of, like, I think how when you say it aloud, like, it sounds weird and, like, stupid, but, like, in my mind, I think, like, that's, like, what my mind is, like, trying to process, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. It's just kind of if I can not necessarily stop the time, but if I slow down life events, then everything else after it will come later. So I won't have to necessarily deal with it just yet.
Right, so I don't sound, like, crazy, like, it makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm not going to say you sound crazy, but I will say that that's just not realistic.
I know that, and that's something that, like, I'm trying to just, like, get over because like, at the end of the day, like, we're all gonna get old.
Hmm.
But, like, just, like, as, like, the years go by and, females, like, we're on, like, our own kind of, like, clock
Oh,
and
Lord
things
Jesus.
and, like, just, like, all of those stressors and thinking about, like, being 40, 50, 60. Like, yes, there's, like, a lot of years before that happens, but it's actually not that far away when you actually look at it. Like, we've already been on this planet for 30 years, and it's like, does it really
Hmm.
feel like you've been here for 30 years? Like, that's a long time.
No, I blame the government, and I feel like someone's making the world spin a little faster because this don't make no sense.
Right? It's just it's weird, and it's like, I don't like, I know that they well, I think I've heard before, like, they say all these things, like, you can't really, like, let your mind get that far ahead of itself, and that's why they tell you to, like, really enjoy, like, every day for what it is, because it's
Hmm.
really hard for, like, the human mind to kind of, like, wrap itself around, like, those kind of, like, futuristic thoughts and, like, like, what really happens, like, what is gonna happen in the future and things, because you don't know until you live every day to kinda, like, get there, but, like, when you
Yeah,
think about it, it's stressing me out, Amanda.
yeah,
Oh,
it's not that far. I mean, once we start living like the Jetsons, then I no, we've been living for way too long.
right,
Time has gone by way too fast.
right, and I don't think we're that far away either.
I mean, they have hoverboards, so
It is
hovercraft ain't
true.
nothing but a thing at this rate, I guess. But
Mhm,
I mean, I understand, um, like you said, with being a female specifically and not having children, and just you have health risks and
mhm,
societal pressures and things like that to think about when it comes to even if you want to have children or if you don't want to have children. And it's it's it would be a great thing if we really could just pause time and be like, well, nope, 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 I'm just gonna stop at 35 because I already know it's
mhm,
already risky around there. But I would say my one of my biggest fears though is dying alone with,
mhm.
hopefully a non-tragic death.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
Yeah. Um, obviously I'm a single woman, so there you go again with this time crunching thing and
Yeah,
how
it's
much more
stressful.
time do you have to find someone and you don't know when you're going to go,
Right,
you know?
that's, like, the one so I hate going to the fucking gynecologist because I feel like every time I go there, it's, like, their main goal to remind you that, like, you're getting older, your, like, clock is ticking, and, like, you need to get your shit together, like, if you wanna have kids and, like, this kinda stuff, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
"Lady, I'm about to stop coming here because you don't need to remind me of these things, like, I don't understand why this is even a conversation, like, just let me know if I'm healthy." That's all
Right,
I
like,
need
am
to
I
know.
healthy or not? Like, can we keep this appointment moving?
Right. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I have in the past, and it's very frustrating.
Girl, going through this genetic testing,
Oh, that's true.
I've already gone through the oncologist and the breast surgeon asking me when I plan to have children.
Oh, jeez.
If I plan on having children,
Yeah.
they advised me to have children sometime soon.
Oh, good
So
lord.
then I have children before my 40s. And then by the time I'm in my 40s, I can go onto this medication to help lower my risk of breast cancer. So
Medication.
you want to talk about stressful, bitch? I feel you.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, one of y'all over here pressuring me. I said, so who's going to find me a man?
Right.
Like, yeah, because we not doing this little have some child by some random person. I
Mhm.
understand that is a thing for some people, and I'm not against that.
Yeah.
But for my life, that is not in the plan.
Right, right.
Ugh,
I hear you. That's crazy,
ugh.
though. I don't even know what to make of all of that. That was a lot when it like, in itself.
Right.
Gosh.
Like, oh my
Doctors.
gosh. Yeah,
God, I
right.
love them, but I hate them.
I know. It's such a love hate relationship. I can't take it.
Oh,
I
my
can't take it.
goodness.
But like, what else is it that you fear with getting older and you know, knowing that death is approaching.
Just, like, everything. It's, like it's terrifying to, like, sit down and think about it, and then, like, seeing my mom and how absolutely, like, devastated she's been for the past, I would say more than 4 years because when we were going, through hospitals and stuff, like, that was a fucking nightmare, but, like, just seeing her, like, mourn and, like, just being so shattered and, like, lost in life and stuff, like, why the fuck do I want to feel that? Why do I wanna be that, like, close to someone just to have them fucking die on me or vice versa? Like, I don't wanna cause anybody that pain either. So, like, in my mind, sometimes I think, like, what's the point? Like, why why go through all this just to feel pain at the end of the day? But, something that I need to what I think I need to start thinking about and learning is you really do have to enjoy every moment of every day because at the end of the day, like, that's kind of like what life is.
Mhm.
You
It's a
can't
sacrifice.
hold back, just because you're afraid of, like, what might happen in the future, and that, I'm sure, goes for, like, other things aside from, like, death. Like, I do think very dramatically, if you haven't noticed by now,
Mhm.
that's just who I am, but I don't know, it's just a lot, man. Like, my mind has just been, like, all over the place in the past 4 years since, like, losing my dad, and, like, I go back and forth, like, all the time. I'm like, "Oh, I gotta live, like, every moment," like how we were just talking and,
Mhm.
about, like, our motivation episode and stuff like that, and being like, "You gotta, like, live, you gotta, like, do this and that because like, life is too short," and then you're like, "Well, hold up, wait a minute, like, we're all about to die soon, like, so what's the point of doing anything?"
It's hard, it is a fence, but
Oh,
it I can say that sometimes I contradict myself because I have been enjoying getting older,
have you?
which is weird, not the pressures of time clicking clocks and, time
Yeah.
ticking clocks, whatever you want to call it. But I just feel like learning myself more
Mm,
as I get older has been enjoyable and setting more ways for myself that I choose and not because that was how I was raised or that's what I was told to do. I
right.
enjoy making my own journey and, setting my own rules and limitations, within what's legal, stuff like that.
Right, right.
But I mean, I can't say that I look forward to becoming a certain age because that's definitely not a thing.
Yeah,
But I am currently enjoying this level of adulthood.
that's
And
good.
I think a part of it is because I also don't look my age. So it also helps,
That is
you
definitely
know,
true, yeah.
if I was looking like I was 45 while I'm 32, I don't think I'd be making this statement right now, but I don't know, it's just the life experiences that I will be obtaining is what I look forward to as well. But
Yeah.
I do have nervousness around death. I used to be very fearful of it, but
Mm,
within my spirituality work that I'm trying to put in, it
yeah.
allows me to be a little more at peace with death and not to be as afraid. But I'm just mainly afraid of not, I just don't want to be in a freak accident and that be the reason why I die. And I don't want it
Right.
to be because of cancer or some type of sickness.
Same, girl. I've seen that fucking tragic shit happen, and you might not
Yeah.
think that that shit is like painful, and they like go in their sleep, but let me tell you, the
Oh,
fucking pain and nightmare that that even brings is just no, thank you.
right. The suffering. And I still believe to this day, things like COVID isn't going to be my end all be all.
No, I don't think so
But
either.
I do truly hope that in my sleep, when I don't know anything,
Right.
is when it happens because I couldn't imagine being someone who's suffering while passing, in the process of passing.
Yeah, it's just what a nightmare. And because like well, that's why I think in some states, and you're gonna have me go on a whole another tangent here.
Please, I want to hear it.
But that's why I think that in some states that they have laws to where you can help somebody, like you can like, I don't know how you want to put it, like help them commit suicide, or you can like help kill them, I guess you can say with like pills. You can like medicate them. Because you know how, like, I don't know if you've ever seen like those like movies or stories where some people like ask their doctor to like kill them or, like overdose them or something like that.
No, I have not seen this.
No? Well, I don't know what states in, specifically, but I'm pretty sure. Now I'm gonna have to like look this up afterwards, but that I've
Yeah,
heard
we
that
need facts.
that in some states that they do like that it's a law to where like you can help someone kill themselves, like to put them like out of their misery pretty much.
Oh
Instead
gosh.
of like, how my dad was like on his deathbed for, I would say pretty much like about like a month, like just like
Mm-hmm.
struggling and suffering, like waiting for that day to happen. Like if he requested it, again, I don't know if this is a thing in like Connecticut, but like if he requested it, like in some places it's a thing to where like they could have just, you know, medically
Mm,
made him, go
right.
away. Like they do in like fucking what is it called? What are those things called? Death row. There you go.
Ooh, yeah, sorry. Wasn't helping you on that one.
No, it's fine. But like, that's what they do. They fucking medicate people until they die. Um,
That's true, yeah.
so
Mm. So, random, it was a thought that came to mind while you were talking, but have you ever thought of who you would give your possessions to? Like who you would sign your stuff over to?
uh so I've kind of thought about it. I mean right now everything is signed over to my mom. I think initially that I did have everything with my dad, but I obviously had to change that. And I think that it still stays to this day that that everything is, in control of my mom.
Yeah. For
Um
me, it's my sister.
Yeah, I don't have it like, I don't have, like, a will yet or
Same.
anything, which I know that I should given everything in my experience. But as far as, like, beneficiary type of stuff, that is written down, obviously, because you have to have your beneficiary for policies and whatever, but, as
Yep.
far as, like, estate matters, like, my belongings, like, that's not written anywhere, so, um, you know, that well, at least in New York, my mom or whomever would still be able to. They would just, like, have to go to court to be able to, like, get into, like, my apartment, whatever, but,
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in Connecticut, but yeah.
Probate.
Yeah, there you go.
Probate
Which
court.
that
Yeah.
shit's fucking nightmare. That shit took my mom, like, I don't even know, like, at least a year or more than that to be able to, like, get my dad's estate. It was crazy.
It's a whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I randomly think about that. Especially with not having kids or a significant other to really like pass my things on to.
Mhm.
But I usually think of my sister and my nephew as the first two people
Yeah.
that I would, um, kind of pass on my things to.
Yeah.
And then I've always thought of when it comes to Chewy, I always thought Crystal because
Mhm.
she was the one who had the most like
She was always
ease
there. Yeah.
of taking him, I feel like. But then, because like my cousin would be my first go to, but they already have a dog and
Mm.
she and Chewy don't get along, so that doesn't help.
Gotcha.
But I know that Nat's supposed to be moving soon, and that could
Oh, right.
be. I don't know. I was like, why you look confused?
I was just thinking to myself, I was like, "Wait a minute."
All right. I
I
was
don't
like,
have this information, but I was
I
like,
know
"Oh,
she's supposed to be making moves,
but
so
yes."
she definitely would be at the top of my list too with having more space. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, because it's like with a dog, I gotta think about him like he's my child.
Yeah.
And if I were to go before him, but the rate he's at, I don't think I really need to worry about that so much, unfortunately. But fortunately, catch 22. Um, so random thoughts, but it's good for us as people to think about these things because
Mhm.
it's not always the oldest person is going to go first.
Nope.
It's, literally anything can happen, as we all know, and we constantly remind you of. But it's really important to think about those things and not saying that, at 30 or 25, however old you may be, that is not necessarily a typical age of passing. You need to think about that stuff. Like even just how we just found out another one of our classmates passed away.
Mhm. I was just gonna say that too.
I
Yeah.
mean, how often does that happen for one? That's way too common.
Right.
And it's just so sad because it's like, once again, we're not that old,
Not at all. No.
and I feel like we've lost so many people we've gone to school with.
Mhm.
And is this
Yeah.
something like every age group goes through? Like,
Maybe.
you know what I mean? Like you hit a certain age and everyone's like, yeah, I lost mad classmates, unfortunately. And it's like, I don't know. It's sad and it sucks, but we just always have to think about the next step. We don't necessarily need to think about, like you're talking before, being so far in the future,
Yeah.
but at least having some realistic expectations set for the future is always good. And it makes it easier for everyone around us, those who care for us and,
Mhm.
you know, that support us whether we're breathing or not. We just need to make sure things are kind of in somewhat of alignment for things to go smoothly.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's huge. I'm glad that you brought that up too because that's one thing that I kind of hope for us in this podcast and being that platform to bring awareness to people because it's a topic that people don't like to talk about. It's
Hmm.
something that, isn't discussed pretty much ever. Like, I don't think I was at maybe, like, I don't know, within, like, 10 years, like, my parents, like, started talking to me about stuff, and I think, like, they had drafted a will and things like that, and I know that, like, we are young, but like you said, it's never too early to start planning those things, and even if you don't think anything's gonna happen to you, you don't have, like, an illness or whatever, it's still really important to have those kinds of documentation because at the end of the day, like, it is so helpful to those around you to know, like, what to do, especially since it's not something people talk about, and even if you do talk about it, you're not gonna remember, like, 5, 10, 20 years from now what their
Heck
wishes
no.
were, did they wanna be buried or cremated or, who did they want their, I don't know, like, electronics to go to versus, like, their
Right.
jewelry or, whatever the case is.
And
It's
those things
definitely
change too.
yeah, and it's something you always have to, like, update and keep. A will isn't, like, just a written in stone document, it's always living.
Mhm.
I know that my parents had changed their wills, for some family dynamic things that had happened. They had changed their will a few times based on things that have happened, and
Mhm.
it's just not something that you just do once and forget about. Um,
Right.
so that is definitely something that is super important, and people do need to think about it. And I need to take my own advice and actually go to like a lawyer or something and have a will drafted, just to have it, because it
Right.
is super important. And like I said, it does help out those around you
Yeah, it does.
to know what to do in that time frame, even like discussing DNRs, like do not resuscitate and things of that nature. Like it's important to know these things for the ones that you love and have those conversations as difficult as they are.
Yes. Have you thought about
Sorry, there's a really loud car outside and I'm like, God damn it.
have you ever thought about what you prefer, burial or cremation? A little dark, but gotta ask.
No, I mean, not dark at all. I mean, something that I should totally like practice what I preach all the time. But no, it's not something I've really taken into consideration. I mean, I've thought about it. I do go back and forth about it because I'm kind of like, do I really want like someone to like cremate me and like burn me, or would I want like animals and like worms to like eat me alive like in the ground? I don't know. I don't know. I definitely need to put more thought into it, but knowing me and who I am, I would probably just go for cremation because one, I know it's cheaper, and two, because that's what my dad did.
Yeah,
I
that's
can see
funny.
myself doing that, being like, well, he did it, so I'm gonna do it too.
Well, I would pick the same thing, but not for the same reasons. Um, but I would pick cremation. I guess maybe for like the cheaper factor of
Mhm.
it's easier in that aspect, but I want it like I want my ashes to be spread.
Do you?
Yeah, like
Where?
probably St. Croix because
Like
I'll
in the
always
ocean
remember.
or
Yeah, spread me at the beach.
gotcha.
Like I'll always remember my first and only time there so far, and it really meant a lot to me. And we all know I love warm weather,
Mhm.
and it was just very beautiful there. Even though it was after that terrible hurricane they had got a couple years ago, well,
Oh
a few
yeah.
years back at this point, and I just felt so whole there. I just felt a lot of goodness, even though it's not necessarily the side of the family that I'm closest to. I just,
Trust me. I know what you mean. I felt the exact same way when I went to Portugal for the first time. You
yeah,
just felt at home. It was
yeah, I really
weird.
did. And it was great. And the
Yeah.
temperature's perfect. And like, if I'm going to be left anywhere, that's where I need to be left. Let me
I hear
disintegrate
you.
in the ocean in the clear water.
Well, me and your sister will be the first ones to take a flight on over there, so don't you worry about it.
Right. You're right.
We will be there.
Please. Yeah. So that's my final decision on that one. There's room for change, of course, as we said, there's room for change, but I'm feeling very certain on that one.
Right. Hmm. I'm well, I was gonna say I'm surprised you've like thought it out that far, but like kind of not at the same time. I
It's
think that
me.
that's actually like pretty cool.
It's me. Just randomly ready for that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we did with my mom's dad. He was cremated and we spread him in the ocean because he was like a boat captain. Like
Yep.
he was all into boats.
That
Um,
makes sense.
but that makes me really think. I'm like, what? I don't really think I have like a thing to where like when I died, people would be like, this is something like Cassie like always liked. Like this is what we should do for her.
Yeah, you're
I don't,
actually right about that because I can't think of anything as you talk about it.
yeah, like I don't know what that would be for me. Like,
Portugal.
I
Take
mean,
your ass to Portugal.
right. Like I guess now that like we're talking about it, like maybe, but like, I don't know. Like I said, my grandpa, he was like a boat person. So like you knew like water. My dad, he like loved sports. So,
Right.
we had his like ceremony at like a golf course. But it's like, I don't really know if there's anything about me that's like, that is what we're gonna do. I don't
I don't
know
know.
how I feel about that now that I'm thinking
I'm going to
about
take
it.
some time after this episode to reflect.
It's a little concerning. Hmm.
Aw.
I think I need to find an identity, which is another topic that I've been thinking about a lot lately, but that might be for a whole nother episode.
For sure. Oh my gosh. So, what else you got left
Hmm.
for our people with getting older and being fearful of that and just the end of
Mm.
life?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's something that I'm currently thinking and debating and processing in my life. So I'm clearly not going to have the answers if there is an answer or whatever the case might be. But I would say being honest with yourself about those feelings and not being afraid to have them and really think about it or like talk to somebody about it and bounce ideas off people or whatever. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that feels this way, and I would hope that our listeners would kind of put me at ease and let me know that I'm not. Or you can write in and tell me that I am too. That's perfectly fine, but at least I know kind of like
What's
where I
happening?
fall.
Right. Where I fall on that spectrum.
But I mean, I would just say, I don't know, just process it and don't be afraid to live for the moment. And always keep that in the back of your mind because you don't know how many moments you're going to have left.
Very true. Good. I mean, I was gonna share a few good words, but you pretty much took them all.
Oh
So,
no.
I mean, you pretty much read my mind with that stuff. I couldn't disagree on enjoying what you have, but also keep in mind when things can go not according to plan,
Mhm.
and just having some type of prep is like prepping for a storm. You know, you want to have a little kit ready to go, so that way, if you got to up and run, or in this
Yeah.
case, stop running, there's things that
Oh,
are there ready.
oh God. That's true. That's just a thought terrifying. But
Yes.
yes. I totally agree. And that just goes to show why we are best friends because great minds think alike, Amanda.
Holler. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Mindset Talks podcast with
Yes.
your girl Amanda.
And Cassie.
We always appreciate everyone tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed this episode just as much as the rest.
Bye, guys.
Bye.